Well. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is week 13, lucky number 13 on this Friday, December 2nd, in the year 2022 of our Lord. Week 13 in the NFL actually began last night when the 8-3 Buffalo Bills traveled to Foxborough in Massachusetts to take on the 6-5 New England Patriots. And if you took the Patriots in 13 points, you lost. That's right. The Bills once again showed who is boss of that division by beating the Patriots 24-10. And except for just 3 minutes in the opening quarter, because the Bills went down and scored a field goal, and then the Patriots scored a touchdown, and then the Bills came down after that and scored a touchdown to go ahead. But except for that 3 minutes, the Bills led for the whole game, and they were in control of that whole game. They ran for more. They passed for more. They held the ball for 16 minutes longer than the Patriots. This Patriots loss was devastating to them because with the loss, they dropped to 6-6, and they'd have to run the table for any chance of them being able to win a playoff spot. And that is not happening. No, that is not happening. Gone are the hallowed and halcyon days of Tom Brady and the New England Patriots dynasty. In the 3 years since Bill Belichick forced Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, arguably, out the door for Cam Newton, then spending over $300 million in free agency the next year when he wouldn't give that same quarterback, Tom Brady, $25 million. The Patriots are just a 500 team. 500. Mediocre. This is a Bill Belichick drafted team. The personnel on and off the field are handpicked by Bill Belichick. This is a Bill Belichick run operation from top to bottom, and they are lucky to be 6-6. It looks like New England and New England fans will just have to get used to losing because the glory days are gone. Now, we'll start off with the 1 o'clock games with the 5-7 Atlanta Falcons hosting the 7-4 Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, guys, 5-7 is hosting 4-7. One thing, even though Atlanta is 5-7, they are still in the mix. The Pittsburgh Steelers, no, they're out of the mix completely. Pittsburgh has looked terrible on offense. Well, that's what happens when you start a rookie quarterback. But their defense has looked good. It's given teams problems. And it's going to do the same for Atlanta. Why? Because Atlanta relies on DeMarcus Mariota using the run-pass option to power their offense. But I think the Steelers defense is chomping at the bit just to get a piece of that. Atlanta's RPO will be handled by Pittsburgh, and the Steelers should take this game. Another game at 1 o'clock is the 3-9 Chicago Bears hosting the 4-8 Green Bay Packers. Now, this is a game of two Nowhereville teams who can't wait for the season to end so they can go back to Nowhereville and not be noticed. Though the focus is on this game, it should be on the management of these two teams that have allowed themselves to become so utterly uncompetitive. Another accomplishment in that mismanagement from the Green Bay side is the ever-present Aaron Rodgers and the waste of a good $50 million a year. Rodgers has become like a skunk smell that won't go away. But Rodgers didn't hold a gun to Green Bay's head so they would give him the money. They could have just threw the money into the Lake Michigan. I mean, that is basically what's happening. They've got nothing in return from it for basically the last 10 years, okay? But they should be used to it. Chicago, well, to talk about Chicago, there's no word to describe how low the Bears have fallen, except to say that they will probably lose to Green Bay. Maybe something's in the waters of Lake Michigan, because that's the lake, that big lake, where those two cities they reside on that lake, Lake Michigan, and maybe something in the waters is just dragging them down. Let's just move on. Okay. In contrast to those two woe-begone teams, let us visit the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go to Jacksonville, Florida, where we can talk about the Jaguars, where Yeah, they're going to be playing don't even worry about who they're playing. But anyway, the Lions, okay? Jacksonville is going to be taking on the Lions. Now, Jacksonville, 4-7, are revitalized after winning a game over the powerful Baltimore Ravens. They're taking on the high-flying Detroit Lions. Now, this Detroit team has won 3 games in a row. And they've done that for the first time since Charlie Chaplin started making movies. The last time they won 3 in a row. And they're a team of destiny. So I'm taking the Lions to go into Jacksonville and to take care of the Jags. Okay, the team that's leading the NFC Central, the division of the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers, are the 92 Minnesota Vikings, and they're hosting the 7-4 New York Jets. Minnesota, to me, has looked more lucky than good. But you don't get a 9-2 record without being somewhat good. So they have some good in them. The problem for the Vikings is that they are so far ahead of the rest of the pack, the 4-7 Detroit Lions, that they could lose every game from here on out and still win. In other words, there's no motivation. The Jets, on the other hand, need this game like a vampire needs blood. If they lose, it could very well be over. I believe they're going to go with Michael White instead of Zach Ryan, and if they do, I'm thinking Jets. The 7-4 Tennessee Titans will travel to Philadelphia to play the 10-1 Eagles. Both of these two teams lead their division comfortably. And like the Vikings, where's the motivation? Okay, if you're the Eagles, you're young, you're hungry, and you're looking to do damage. That's all the motivation you need. Why? Just because they are young and hungry and looking to do damage. The Titans are an older team, and they're not motivated quite the same way. They might want to win, they might push to win, but they don't feel the need to win. So when it comes down to it, I'm going to take the young and hungry team, the Eagles, who have never been that far in the playoffs. I mean, in this particular group, in a while. Okay? So from there, we travel to Houston, where the 9-1 Texans will take on the Cleveland Browns. Yes, they're going to host the Cleveland Browns. Now, this will be Deshaun Watson's first game back from his suspension, and he could not have picked a better team to debut against and win. What's even better about this game is that Deshaun Watson used to be a Texan. The last game he played was as a Texan. So it's like a little coming home pride for him, but without any massages. The Texans, on the other hand, have no interest in putting up much of a fight, much less playing to win. Losing this many games is not by happenstance. What I mean is that it takes focus and it takes determination to lose this many games. And that's what Houston is, determined and focused to lose. So they are going to lose these games. They are built to lose. I'm going Browns. In the battle of the two bottom teams in the NFC East, the 7-4 Giants are hosting the 7-5 Washington Commanders, and that pretty much says it all. But after winning winning 6 of the first 7 games, the Giants have fallen off the beanstalk. They need this game to remain close to the Cowboys for a wildcard spot in the NFC East. The Commanders, are seemingly out of it, but they would love to play spoiler. I mean, what else have they got to do? That being said, even though the Giants have fallen off the beanstalk, I'm going Giants. But I would not be surprised if the Commanders somehow pull the upset, if we can call that an upset. In the last of the 1 o'clock games, the 7-4 Baltimore Ravens, who lost to the Jags last week, will be hosting the 3-8 Denver Broncos. Baltimore, yes, lost to the Jaguars, and the whole world of the NFL was laughing and ridiculing them for it. Now the Ravens are pissed, and rightly so. They lost to the Jags. Better yet, they get to take their frustrations out on the team that's worse than Jacksonville. Sorry, Broncos, that team is you. Now, we kick off the 4 o'clock games with San Francisco 49ers hosting the 8-3 Miami Dolphins. Ladies and gentlemen, and sports fans everywhere, this is the game of the day. These two teams are finding themselves at just the right time. The 49ers, after getting Christian McCaffrey, have designed their offense around running. And the Dolphins have been designing their game around passing. Now, the Dolphins have the edge on offense because, and I never thought I would say this, Tua Tags is a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. That's right. It needs to be said because it's true. Tua is getting better and Jimmy not so much. But the 49ers defense is better than Miami. And at this time, I'm taking the home field advantage in the Niners. Now, the 6-5 Los Angeles Chargers are traveling to Las Vegas to take on the 4-7 Raiders, a trip they should be happy to make because of the victory that awaits them there. The Raiders have gotten winning out of the system because they slapped up on the Seattle Seahawks last week and beat them. Now, that should carry them on for the rest of the season. They shouldn't want to win again. Now, the Chargers need this game for pride reasons. Pride reasons, you say? What would that be? Well, they don't want to be known as the team that lost to the Las Vegas Raiders this season. So, if they have any pride at all, they are looking to win this game. Now, the 9-2 Kansas City Chiefs are traveling to Cincinnati to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Chiefs are so far ahead. They are 3 games, 9-2, and the closest team to them in the division are the Chargers, the aforementioned Chargers at 6-5. Now, the Bengals, on the other hand, they're in the dogfight. They're 7-4. They're tied with the Baltimore Ravens, and they have motivation. We go again with that word motivation again. They have a reason to play this game. Kansas City, they're looking to get in this game and get out of this game without any major injuries. That's what they're looking for. That's what is going to be a win for them. But the Bengals have to win this game because guess what? The Ravens have been playing a weak schedule the whole year, and they're still tied with them. And the Cincinnati Bengals have a chance to actually win this division. Now, the Ravens are playing, of course, we already talked about it, the Broncos, okay? Meanwhile, the Bengals have to play the Chiefs. This is a tough game for the Bengals, but I think they have the motivation to win, and the Chiefs not so much. The Chiefs are a great team. We know they're a great team. They have Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid as a coach. And hopefully Andy Reid's not going to make the dumb move of pushing Pat Mahomes out the door one day for some woe-begone quarterback, like whatever, Cam Newton, something if he's still around. Hopefully he's smart enough not to do that. If that's the case, then my guess is that Kansas City's going to win for a long time. But they probably are not going to win this game. Why? Because of motivation. So let's move on from there. I think the next game we have is Cowboys. No, the 6-5 Seattle Seahawks will travel to Los Angeles to play the Rams. Now, Matthew Stafford's not going to play. Aaron Donald's not going to play. And their season record is so bad that they would be in line for a great draft pick. But that draft pick belongs to Detroit because they went out and got Matthew Stafford the year before. So it can't get any worse for the Rams, except they will probably get beat at home by the Seahawks. Let's move on to the 8-3 Dallas Cowboys hosting the 7-4 or the 4-7 Indianapolis Colts. Now let's pause for a second. Just for a minute here. Has anyone noticed how many 4-7 teams there are this week? So out of 11 games, we have 6 teams. 11 weeks. There are 6 teams that are at 4-7. The Browns, the Jags, the Lions, the Steelers, and of course the Colts. There's one more team. Let me just think of that team right now, but whatever. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But we have, the Raiders. You have the Raiders, okay. Total 6 teams. Also notice this, there are 7-4 teams. The Commanders, the 49ers, the Giants, the Jets, the Ravens, and the Titans. Now, you can call it mediocrity, or you could call it parity. 6 of one, a half dozen of the other. What it means is that it's just bad watching, but I digress. The Cowboys have only lost 1 game at home this year, and this isn't going to be number 2. For the Colts, the shine has worn off the hiring of just Saturday, and it's back to being losers. Dallas will roll. And in the Monday night game, Tom Brady and the 5-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers will host the 4-8 New Orleans Saints. Both of these teams have lost more than they have won. Yes, you've heard me. That's 4-8 and 5-6. And Tampa Bay at 5-6 are the division leaders. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, only one game separates the top from the bottom in the NFC South. And at the beginning of the season, I said, if Tom Brady can take the Bucs to the Super Bowl with Todd Bowles as his head coach, it would be his greatest accomplishment that he ever accomplished in the NFL. Well, it turns out that not even the greatest player can do that. They have limits. The Bucs and the Bowls have woefully underperformed on the field, and they have no discipline. The GM Jason Litt has dropped the ball on the personnel side, and the Bucs have no playmakers on offense. But as bad as that is, it's even worse for the Saints. Their best player is Andy Dalton, their quarterback, a guy who's been tossed around the league. Andy Dalton is the Saints' best player at this particular time. In other words, sports fans, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone around the world, just take a coin and flip it and call heads or tails and give the Bucs heads and the Saints tails. That could be your winner in this game. And I really mean it. And it's that bad between the two teams. Andy Dalton, and Andy Dalton. Okay, well, anyway. I conclude week 13 with that, with the Buccaneers versus the Saints. Now, it's important to remember this. No matter what, week 13 is going to be lucky for some of the teams in the NFL and unlucky for the other teams that will lose in the NFL. Or you could be like the Texans. You can still win by losing because you only won one game and you're going to get the number one pick in the NFL draft. There's almost no way they can screw that up. But for you, the fans, you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Joe Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Everyday American or everyday South American or everyday Mexican, Canadian, whoever you are, this day, this week can be special and lucky for you. It can be great if you allow it to be. So watch out for the 7 deadly sins. Stay positive and say your prayers at night, and everything will go right. This is Clay Morris of the Amazing Grace Sports Network wishing you happiness and love and peace. Have a good day, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the NFL games. And have a great weekend. Thank you. Take care. Oh, like, subscribe, and chat. You see, got any chats in here? Nobody's chatting. But I'm waiting for you. When the chats start happening, you're going to wish you could get in on this. Have a great weekend. Take care. Peace, love, and happiness to you all.